Hello everyone, welcome to the PortCalls YouTube channel. Today, we have a special video. It is the first of a series of fora on presidential and senatorial candidates organized by the Philippine Inter-island Association in partnership with PortCalls. We hope you find this video useful when you finally head to the polling stations in 2022. Here we go!
Good Thursday morning, everyone! Magandang umaga po and welcome to this very exciting Presidentiables and Senatoriables series brought to you by the Philippine Inter-island Association. I am your host, Mariel Kliachko, Events Director at PortCalls. I'd like to invite you for a short invocation to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ng sigatanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyak ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitingin, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang ay di magtitingin, luman ang araw ng walhaging pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
For those who have just joined us, let me give you a quick rundown of our house rules. Number one, we have placed all participants on mute for the duration of this forum to avoid distractions. Number two, if you have questions, kindly type them in the chat box even while the presentation is ongoing. They will be answered during the Q&A. Three, questions that will not be accommodated due to time limitations may be emailed to pisa@pldddsl.net. Let me repeat that, pisa@pldddsl.net. We are also going to put it in the chat box. And finally, we want to know how you find this session, so we request that you participate in the poll at the end of the proceedings. Your answers will guide us in future sessions. With those rules out of the way, let me welcome you once again to this forum, very appropriately titled, The Making of the New Wave President, organized by the Philippine Inter-island Association with PortCalls as media partner. PortCalls, as you probably know, is the only print and online news provider for the cargo transportation industry publication since 1996. Our organization regularly partners with industry associations to help educate stakeholders on issues that matter to them. And I am sure you will agree, nothing could be more crucial than the 2022 presidential elections. This series focuses on the vision of the presidential candidates, not only for the country, but more specifically for the shipping industry. We will hear from our presidentiables and senatoriables their game plan for our sector. We hope this series leads you to an informed choice when you head to the polling stations. In our first outing, we are very fortunate to have the tandem of Senators Panfilo Ping Lacson and Vicente Tito Soto. They will be joined by some of their senatoriables. So let's get the ball rolling. I would like to call the chairman and president of the Philippine Inter-island Association for his welcome remarks. Mr. Christopher Pastrana is also the chairman of Archipelago Philippine Ferries Corporation Group, engaged in domestic shipping, training, logistics, tourism, and other maritime-related businesses. He is a member of the Board of Interferry, the largest organization of global ferry operators, as well as a member of Entrepreneurs Organization, a global support network of 14,000 plus like-minded leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Christopher Pastrana. Let's give him a virtual round of applause. Magandang umaga, senyor. Hello.
Good morning, distinguished guests, stakeholders from the maritime industry, leaders. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you in this first presidential kapihan with our friends from the maritime industry. Let me just give you some facts. Our country is an archipelagic nation consisting of more than 7,600 islands, the world's fifth largest island country, the world's longest discontinuous coastline of 34,600 kilometers. How truly strategic shipping should be for our country. The Philippines continues to be the largest provider of officers and seafarers that delivered an income of $6.4 billion in 2020. About 90% of our cargoes, consumer goods, food and agricultural produce essential cargoes are carried and transported through sea transport. Before the pandemic in 2019, there are about 230 million tons of cargo that was moved in the domestic market. Domestic shipping remains to be the most economical means of transport linking the islands. In times of emergencies, natural disasters, calamities, shipping will continue to ensure unhampered flow of essential cargoes, assuring the nation of persistent responsibility to link and serve as arteries or moving bridges of the nation. We continue to carry passengers to boost national tourism and sustain local economic and cultural environmental awareness. During the height of the pandemic, we continue to provide movement of cargo, and we move locally stranded individuals. Pre-pandemic in 2019, there are about more than 80 million Filipinos that use the sea lanes as means of transport. Shipping is one of the most regulated industry in the transport sector. There's never been an administration where we felt provided meaningful reforms and policies for the Philippine maritime industry as a whole and for the domestic shipping sector in particular. PISA, Presidential and Senatorial Series, aims to get to know the candidates and better and hopefully determine who has focused agenda for the shipping and maritime industry. It's an honor to introduce our guest of honor. Allow me to say something about Senator Panfilo Lacson. He's a Master's of Government Management in Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, Bachelor of Science in Philippine Military Academy, class of 1971, Matatag. Has undergone numerous military trainings, mostly intelligence courses and guerrilla warfare and air mobile operation courses. He is a recipient of notable awards, the most recent of which a Doctors of Law, Honoris Causa Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila in 2019. Cited with 17 military merit medals. There are so many of them that it would take me the whole day to mention. Received several citations from Rotary Club, JC's, Philippine Chamber of Commerce, just to name a few. He has an impressive career in public service from Metrocom Intelligence, PNP Anti-Carnapping, Provincial Commander, Cebu Metro Discom. He was the head of the Presidential Anti-Crime Task Force, Chief of the Philippine National Police. And just to share to you, since we are quite active in the transportation business, when he was in charge of the Philippine National Police. To be honest, we appreciate all your efforts because nawala po lahat ng cotton caps sa Maynila. So nakadali po sa aming mga negosyante ang malaking tulong na ginawa ninyong disiplina nung panahon nyo bilang head of the Philippine National Police. He is married to Miss Alice Perio and has 4 children and proudly hails from Cavite, an adopted son of Cebu. Another guest of honor that we will be I'd like to introduce so that there will be continuity of our program is Senator Vicente Soto III. He has a very long history of public service. He was a vice mayor of Quezon City from 1998 to 1992. Senator Soto was member of the 9th and 10th Congress, served as an assistant majority floor leader. He headed different commissions, including the Commission of Appointment. He's advocated for a drug-free Philippines, successfully sponsored and steered passage of 61 Senate bills as principal sponsor during the 9th and 10th Congress. In 1998 to 2001, Senator Soto was part of the 11th Congress. He chaired several committees, filed a total of 190 legislative bills. He is part of the Senate Committee of Public Service, has approved total of 939 legislative franchises. Senator Soto in the 12th Congress filed 126 Senate bills and 2 Senate resolutions. He was assistant minority floor leader and member of the Senate Electoral Tribunal. He was the head of the chairman of the Dangerous Drugs Board, appointed by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo during in 2008. A third-term Senate in 2010 to 2016. Elected majority floor leader as well chairman of the Committee of Rules. 4th-term Senate in 2016 and present currently the Senate President of the, and he is currently one of the well-known and distinguished performer of the Senate, and it's an honor and privilege to introduce both our guests, Senator Panfilo Lacson, who is our candidate for the President of the Republic of the Philippines, and Senator Vicente Soto III as our candidate for the Vice President of the Philippines. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, and let's give a warm welcome to our guest of honor. Maraming salamat po.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Senator Lacson.
Yes, good morning to all.
Good morning po.
So,
The floor is yours, sir.
my?
The floor is yours. We'd like to listen to you.
No, actually, I thought you were sent or you were notified, because we had some issue regarding the program that you sent last night. I told Attorney Orius na we're here to dialogue and to listen to your to the issues and concerns that you will raise, and then we have some input to share with you. So because the program that you sent last night, as sinasabi doon, we will have to present our platform given 20 minutes. So I thought that was communicated to you already by Attorney Arios, as he told me this morning. So let's proceed with the dialogue. Actually, we have prepared for a question and answer type of dialogue. So we will know your concerns, in terms of legislation, in terms of policies, and whatever action may be necessary to take moving forward. So we want to listen more than talk to you about what our platforms are, because after all, I'm joined by Senate President Soto, and I think General Eliazar and Monsur del Rosario, as well as Dr. Mingita Padilla. And when I saw the program, I noticed that we will have to present our individual platform. So I told Attorney Oreo, sabi ko, di ba isa lang yung platform namin, magkakasama kami. So I think we should, para mas magiging fruitful yung discussion natin, if we engage you in a discussion, and address whatever issues, if we can address them, whether in the short term or in the long term, kung ano yung mga issues that you are raising, like the cabotage law and other laws that govern the shipping industry. So yon, with that, ang sabi ko nga, as I said earlier, we'd rather listen to you than talk to you, and just respond or react to whatever issues and concerns that you may want to impart to us.
Thank you, Senator Lacson. That's really very
Yeah,
interesting. Thank you, thank you. Let me encourage all of our participants to go ahead and rush to the chat box and ask your questions, because Senator Lacson and Senator Soto are here to address whatever concerns we might like to share with them.
Okay, maybe Mariel, I can fire the first chat.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Senators Lacson, Senator Soto. I am Attorney Pedro Aguilar. I'm the Executive Director of the Philippine Inter-island Shipping Association. So let me ask the first question. There is a bill in the Senate that I think middle of this year, or it's already on discussion on plenary. I'm referring to Senate Bill number 2094 for the amendment to the Public Service Act. Now, basically, in the bill, it defines what a public utility is, and the definition consists of an enumeration, and it enumerated only three industries that fall under the definition of public utility, which are electric transmission, electric distribution, and water pipeline distribution, and sewerage distribution. Now, basically, the impact of this bill is to remove all other industries not included in the three defined public utility industries, removing the cap of the foreign and Filipino ownership ratio, which is until now it's 60-40, 60% Filipino owned and 40% foreign owned, which is enshrined in Article 12, Section 11 of the Constitution. Now, the maritime industry sector is begging our legislators to re-include the ship for the maritime industry because of the important role that it plays in the economy and in national security. So my question, Mr. Senator, is what will be the position of what will be your position or the position of your party, just in case you'll be elected, considering that I'm sure that this bill will not be passed during this Congress and will surely be reintroduced next time.
Yeah, thank you, Attorney. Thank you for the question. Actually, it's still I don't know if this is an accurate information, because I went to my office while we were in session and the Senate President was there. I think it's still pending in the Senate. Nasa period of amendments na kami. And that's exactly the point of my interpellation. When I interpellated dito sa bill being sponsored on the floor by Senator Grace Po, I raised the concern on the constitutionality, and the existing jurisprudence, yung JG Summit versus Court of Appeals. Ang sinasabi doon, yung definition of public utility. And I even presented the minutes of the Constitutional Convention for the ratification of the 1987 Constitution on ownership. Kailangan define yung public utility, and very clearly sinabi doon na among the public utilities as defined under the 1987 Constitution, kasama yung transportation, shipping, and telecommunications. We are now in the period of amendments, and I think I'm in the same. I'm taking the same position that our Senate President Pro Tem is taking, that we should not open up to 100% ownership yung transport service, because that's clearly a public utility kasi regularly supplying the public with the commodity or service of public consequence, such as electricity, gas, water, transportation, telephone, telegraph service, and so on. So yun ngayon, nandun kami, we're still, while we are in the period of amendments, we allow to ask more clarificatory questions. So we're still stuck. Maybe my partner can help me out because he was presiding yesterday, because I had to attend to some important matters in my office. So I went upstairs and I just monitored that it was calendared yesterday. So partner, can you add some more information in this regard?
Yes, thank you very much, partner. Magandang umaga po, Attorney Aguilar and everyone in the shipping industry. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning,
Yesterday, we were still in the period of amendments. Now, the only one left proposing an amendment is Senator Ralph Recto. The other amendments were more or less non-controversial and were accepted already by Senator Grace Poe before we took up the budget. And yesterday, just to give you a glimpse of what transpired, not in the plenary, but in the lounge, we had Senator Recto and Senator Poe discussing it privately. We allowed them to talk about it because precisely what Senator Lacson was saying earlier was that the position being taken by Senator Recto is perhaps the position not only taken by Senator Lacson but other members of the Senate. It's still, I think the big question is whether we will include almost all, including shipping industry, in the definition of a public utility. And as of now, if you are a public utility, you must be 60% Filipino-owned and 40% foreign, possibly. If not, if you're not included, you will be allowed to have a 100% foreign ownership. Now, the big so if that is the situation right now, and what I can say is that perhaps on Monday we will be taking it up already, finalizing it. The very good thing that has happened now is that we are having a dialogue with you, and let me ask you the question: what is beneficial to your industry, Attorney Aguilar?
Yes.
Partner, may I answer your question on behalf of Attorney Peter? It will kill the industry, because if we open up and binigyan natin ng 100% ownership and not stick to the 60-40 sharing, foreign and local, I mean local and foreign, 60% local and 40% foreign, it will kill them. No, and besides, sabi ko nga kanina, there's jurisprudence. Ito yung JG Summit Holdings Incorporated versus Court of Appeals, GR number 124293. 2003 case ito. Malinaw yung sinabi ng Supreme Court, an activity as a public utility based on the nature and based on legislation. And definition, public utility as a business or service engaged in regularly supplying the public with some, as I mentioned earlier. So I think that is the position being taken by PISA. And yes, we'd like to hear from Attorney Peter and the officials of the PISA tungkol sa kanilang position in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Peter, may I speak? Peter?
Yeah. Senator Lacson, Senator Soto, Let me introduce our Chairman Emeritus, Ms. Doris Magsisejo. She's the very active advocate against the removal of public transport as a public utility. Go ahead, Doris.
Good morning, Senators, Senate President Soto, and
Morning.
Senator Lacson. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. I just thought I would give another perspective to it so that we can see why this issue is actually quite an important issue, even vis-a-vis global issues, because it is in the idea of maintaining a national flag and a nationality requirements for coastal shipping is something that most countries take very seriously. The United States, for example, will not allow any foreigner that controls more than 1% to even work in their coastal and rivers in the United States. The United States requires 97% American owned for their domestic trade. Countries like Japan and China, Indonesia, which has more islands than us, 12,000 islands. You have to be 100% of Indonesian to run coastal trades for small ships. And if you're a larger ship, you may be allowed maybe 30% foreign owned. But they're very strict as far as in the nationality requirements. So if other countries allowed not foreigners to trade in their waters, we, as the country that has the most seafarers in the world, would be already trading our ships in Japan. We're not allowed to trade our ships in Japan. The coastal trade in Japan, which is also full of islands, is completely controlled by the Japanese. And why? Even the EU is open, but among EU. So if you want to go between Italy to let's say France on a ship, you need to be, as a matter of fact, even for trucks, you need to be of one of the EU countries' registry. And why is that? It is because if the coastal trade is controlled by foreigners, this concept was actually invented in the 1700s when the British were so afraid that in the event the Spaniards won control of the Atlantic Ocean, that they would embargo every ship that went, they would embargo food. The war, what they would do is not fight guns. They would countries must have control over their waterways through their shipping to be able to control their national security issues. So imagine we're so worried about all those fishing boats in the West Philippine Sea, but at the same time we're saying, okay, let's all have foreigners, including the Chinese, control all the domestic shipping. So it's not as if we are against liberalization. It is just ironic. It would be a shock, I think. The world would laugh at us if we, as the country that has the most seafarer, that has the most opportunity to develop our shipping industry, to become a great maritime nation, to be the one fighting to open other markets. It would be ridiculous that we would be the one to open it first. Yeah. And especially because the issues that, first of all, we have a lot of competition. See in this room full of other ship owners, and we compete like crazy. So it's not because of lack of competition. This is unlike telecom, and maybe there's only two. In our case, we have like so many people that we compete with. So the issues we have is nothing to do with flag or nationality. The issues we have is because of infrastructure and because our trade is small. Our ships are small. They're like a jeepney versus a bus. The issues that we need to do as a country, sirs, is to grow our trade. So our ships become bigger. And because ships are become bigger, we have economies of scale. And if we have economies of scale, then we can have cheaper freight. For now, we are appealing to the Senate to understand this issue. This is not a Filipino invention. the idea of nationality is actually something that most countries with a coast adopt as a national policy for their own national security. So I really hope, I really appreciate your listening to me explain that part,
Yes.
that aspect of this
Yes,
argument.
Doris. Doris, may I? Just for the update of the present Public Services Act bill that we have in the Senate, the shipping is still considered a public utility. It is not in the list of being of those being liberalized. But again, we are still in the period of amendment, and we will probably have to look out for any amendments that will reverse the situation. That's how it is now. It's not. It's not in the list of those being planned to be liberalized. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we're hoping. Sorry, at some point it would have to go to bicameral, and in Congress, in the lower house, they actually have one version where there is a clause that says that airlines, airports, and seaports should always have national interest, national security, should be Filipino owned because of national security. And we hope that in the Senate version, we are considered a common carrier, but we hope that if it reaches bicameral, that common carrier falls into those four things, adding shipping. So it should be airports, airlines, seaports, and ships should be actually considered as important national security assets of the nation. And so there's an issue there of reciprocity. We really feel that we should not be included in that reciprocity, because somebody could import pigs and all of a sudden they can now own ships. It doesn't follow it, because the philosophy is national security. It's not about investment.
Yeah, thank you, Doris. You have just reinforced our position, because we're taking the same position, but we are using or invoking more the constitutional provision and the existing jurisprudence. But thank you for opening our eyes that yung national security is of primordial concern. Now I'm imagining if we open up, you can just imagine how many ships China will send to the West Philippine Sea, and even within, not only within our EEZ, but probably within the 12 nautical mile limit, they can encroach in our waters. And where will our fishermen go? As it is now, it is already a national security and food security issue or problem. So thank you, and I hope more of our colleagues, majority, as a matter of fact, would be convinced to support our position along with the position of Senator Ralph Recto, because he's very adamant. I also raised the same issue or issues during the period of interpellation, and when I heard Senator Recto hammering on the issue involving transportation and the likes, as a public utility, then I thought we were already in good hands. But thank you for further reinforcing our position, and we will fight for it. Not because we're talking to you, but because even before this forum, this dialogue, that's already the position that we've been taking, in regard to this bill pending in the Senate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Senator Lacson. PISA, it's comprised of, PISA is the umbrella organization, and we have several other association members, such as the Philippine Liner Shipping Association, represented here by Mr. Mark Parco. Maybe Mark has some questions related to their sector. Mark?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, senators. One thing that we have always talked about is PPA's role as a regulatory body as well as a government corporation. But before I start with the question, I just like to quote something from RA 857 when it was created. Whereas the concept of the port administration in this country has been focused on the traditional function of revenue collection, harbor maintenance, and cargo handling to the exclusion of the port's fuller utilization and development as a spur for regional growth. Now, based on the recent the spirit of RA 857 seems to be forgotten. There's an increasing focus on just increasing PPA revenues. And yes, it contributes to the national treasury, but at the expense of higher logistics costs. And in some cases, it has become prohibitive to move the cargo. I have, the other day, I was talking to one operator and they were saying the cost to move a sack of cement from Cebu to Ormoc has become so expensive because the cost of cargo handling was higher than the cost of the freight. So, we'd like to hear your view on this matter of a conflict of interest in PPA as a government corporation and as a regulatory agency. The current combined PPA role is believed to unnecessarily compound the cost of handling and increase the cost of doing business because as a regulatory body, you're the one approving the rate increases and they have been increasing this. So we'd like to know, how do you view PPA? Would you regard PPA as a revenue generating unit, or you would view it as something to help develop and grow the economy in the Philippines? Thank you.
Yes, I agree with you. No, you cannot be a regulatory body at the same time a competitor of the industries that you are regulating. So I think, and I would suggest that you help us in this regard. Kindly submit your position in the form of a legislative proposal, probably, so we can craft a legislation to make PPA a purely regulatory agency. So that much I can say, and I'd like to hear from our Senate President his thoughts in this regard.
We can outright revisit the PPA charter. And while doing so, as Senator Lacson suggested, send us the issues that you were raising. Because the other day, there was also a concern being raised by, I think, the tracking industry
concerning the permit to operate inside the port.
Been
increasing.
It's about time we revisit the PPA charter. Thank you for that, Mark.
Yes. I have another question on the harmonization of laws and regulations among the maritime agencies. There are a lot of overlapping authorities like Marina, PPA, Philippine Coast Guard. We have the OTS, which is on security. And of course, there's the Cebu Port Authority. And, at the end of the day, too many cooks spoil the brew. And especially if you are regulating, but you are not responsible for the growth of that industry. So how do you intend to, an example I can give is in the seafarers. There was a time that there were too many people, PRC, Marina, the OFW were being regulated by these different agencies. But then there was a law that came out and it said that basically Marina was responsible and Marina has to grow it and they have to fix all the processes so that it does not hamper, but in fact it grows the industry. How do you intend to grow shipping, and which agency would you task to be responsible? Because there are overlapping rules and laws, and there has to be one agency which overrides this. Because there's a lot of PPA issues which affect us, but Marina cannot do anything, and things like this. Thank you.
Before Senator Lacson responds, may I be allowed to respond first? Because perhaps that is part of the programs that Senator Lacson and I in our group are thinking of. Because I have already filed a bill right-sizing the government. What you're talking about is perhaps one of the reasons why my bill is necessary. And we need to streamline the government. As a matter of fact, aside from the right-sizing proposal that we have, and I'm sure our group is backing this up, we're also opting for an early retirement program. A study says that an early retirement program, about 40% of people in government will opt for an early retirement program. And why did I come up with this idea? Why did we come up with this idea? Out of the 5-point-something trillion budget for this year and in the previous years, more than 50% goes to personal services. And a big chunk goes to debt servicing. Imagine what is left for the country. But the personal services, if 40% opt for an early retirement program, you're probably easing up about more than $1 trillion. And you also streamline the government, right-size it, like precisely addressing the concerns that you are saying when we have the PPA, Coast Guard, etc., etc. Thank you. As Senator Lacson perhaps will respond.
Yes, I heard that PISA is proposing the creation of the Department of Maritime Affairs, and streamline, yes, but to create another department, that will have to be studied more carefully. Why? Because as the Senate President stated, nasa right-sizing mode tayo because yes, more than half of the national budget goes to personal services. And on top of that, may mga MOEs pa yan, representation expenses and all. So maybe we can work together in trying to streamline because you are correct in saying that there are so many overlapping authorities. You mentioned Marina, PPA, PCG, OTS, and so forth and so on. Sobra nga sa 10 fingers ng dalawang kamay natin yung mga agencies. So I think we should think of streamlining the functions of these agencies, different agencies, instead of, we have some reservations actually in the creation of another department. Pending in the Senate or in the Congress right now are several proposals to create more departments, Department of OFWs, Department of Disaster, Department of so many concerns, So maybe we can work together to just streamline and simplify yung authority ng maybe one or two agencies. That's all. That's our position right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another question that came up was really on the long-term plans of especially in shipping. As you know, when we buy ships, the ships will be there for the next 20, 30 years. And we're always looking at the long-term plans of the company, of the government. Sorry, I've been in the private sector too long. But one thing we've seen is that there's a lot of presidential appointees, especially in positions below the office of the DOTR secretary and undersecretary. So it keeps changing, and it seems to make long-term planning very difficult as the plans keep on changing because there's no continuity down at the ground level. The question is really, how do you intend to ensure continuity in the government policies so that we do not, as an industry, we do not have to go and say, what is the next administration going to do? What is going to be, who's going to be the new head? And that it makes a big difference when we only have a 6-year planning horizon when we should be looking at 20 or 30-year planning horizons. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I couldn't agree more, because changing policies in the midstream is not really, or is counterproductive, to say the least. In other countries, they have a 20-year plan or even more. In the Philippines, it's always, the PDP is always, what, 5 years, 6 years? That's our long-term na, medium term. So yes, we should really be more, shall we say, permanent, in our policies, and this can be done also through legislation, not only applicable to the shipping industry, but to other areas of concerns as well.
Thank you. Just one last.
May I add something, Mark?
Yes,
partner.
In the program that we have, I don't think we highlight issues like changing. What we want to do is improving. improving the present systems that are good for the country, that the present administration is doing well. That is a part of our program. In other words, like for example, take the example of the issue of illegal drugs. The government is very much into enforcement and prosecution, which is supply reduction in illegal drugs. What we want to do is to improve it by including the demand reduction strategy of highlighting prevention and rehabilitation. You know, things like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, what incentive programs do you have in mind? No? Because right now, yung a law was passed in 2004, di ba? Yung VAT exemption. But it has already lapsed. Dahil 10 years yung period when the shipping industry enjoyed VAT-free activities on the procurement of your supplies or whatever materials you have.
Yes, I'll be very honest with you on the VAT incentives or any incentives on the importation. The incentives are good, and that probably works for when you buy a new ship. But of course, our other problem is we have day-to-day maintenance, and we have to buy the parts. And if you talk to some of the ship owners, when you apply for the incentive, it takes so long, and then your ship is stuck. So it's cheaper to pay for the tax and get the ship running because it's expensive to keep it the whole ship idle and not moving. But to your question on what we think, one thing that has consistently come up is that we are giving VAT incentives for imports, and something that we have really asked is that we get incentives for ships that are built in the Philippines. We don't get that. So it's cheaper for us to buy from outside. But then building a ship in the Philippines means that we create more jobs in the country. And if we create more jobs and if we have a strong shipbuilding industry, then that will go back and make it better for the shipping lines. We have more jobs. We have maintenance will be easier as a lot of these suppliers will also set up where there are shipbuilders. But incentives given the shipbuilders, but then you give the incentives to them. But we are the buyers as shipping lines. Why will we procure a ship made locally when it's more expensive? We'll buy outside. So I think that's something that we look forward to. Something in that way wherein it feeds and it goes back, because if the industry in the Philippines grows, the shipbuilding industry, it will feed the metals industry, it will feed the spare parts industry, and there's more people who have more money. And when people have more money, then they can ride on the ships. The more people will ride in the ships, which is also a good thing for us. Then it's a circular economy for us because the money stays within the Philippines as opposed to us buying overseas and the money goes outside. I think that's something that we will look at, but I think there are other things that we will recommend. Just one last, would you like to reply to that? Sorry.
Yes, part of our platform is we want to revive the Filipino first policy, not only in the shipping industry, but in the food industry as well, and agriculture. We intend to be less dependent on importation and patronize more our local products. Same way in your industry, let's incentivize and motivate the local shipping industry by way of granting more incentives to local producers or local labor sa shipping industry. So I agree with you, and it's part of our platform of government actually, yung tangkilikin ang sariling atin muna instead of being too import dependent. Imagine I could not imagine for the life of me that we would be importing galunggong from China.
Yes.
This never happened before. And, it's revolting to say the least that the galunggong that we are buying from China are coming from the West Philippine Sea. Na-deny yung ating mga fishermen from fishing. Ang laking impact nito because 7% of our fish, yung source ng fish natin, nanggagaling sa West Philippine Sea. it's a 33 billion peso a year livelihood ng mga fishermen natin. So, and right now, because of the incursions of the Chinese vessels, ang nadidinay sa atin is something like 300,000 metric tons of fish. Translated, kasi ang consumption ng one Filipino family is something like 40 kilograms of fish every year. So if you divide 300 million kilograms of fish by 40 kilograms, that would translate easily to 7.5 million families, no? Na sabihin nating nawawalan o kaya bumibili from other sources ng isda. That's unacceptable actually. So yon, kasama sa programa namin yon, yung Filipino First.
Thank you. Just one last, this seems to be cropping up in a lot of questions that I get from, or feedback I get from not just my members, but also non-members. Again, it goes back to PPA and how they are regulatory, and they continue to basically their vested interest within it. And it was noticed that even in the recent port biddings, there's only a select group of companies which seem to be winning, and this has resulted in inflationary increases in cargo handling tariff. If you were to go to Zamboanga and Tacloban right now, you would hear from the business that the cost of moving cargo there, because PPA just approved it, has gone up in some places more than 100%. So how do you intend to stop the inflationary increase in cargo handling tariffs? Thank you.
Partner, would you like to respond?
Yes, I think it still falls under the PPA charter. And when we said earlier that we would want to revisit it, as a matter of fact, while we were discussing about it, I already gave orders to my legislative staff to give me a complete brief on the overall of the encompassing issues on the PPA. And we will take that into consideration likewise. There is also the issue of corruption na dapat nating i-address. And then because I understand there are selected groups winning the bids and things like that. No? And when we say anti-corruption or corruption to be addressed, that is the masterpiece of Senator Lason.
And my partner, actually, no. We have so many anecdotal stories to tell, but never mind.
Thank you.
But we have consistently fought corruption all the way, you know, since the time I was GPNP or in the military service, all the way to my being a member of the Philippine Senate. So, yeah, we'll really go hammer and tongs, you know, against corruption in government. Because sa akin, pag solve yung corruption, at least 50% of the country's problems masosolve. At least 50% solved na.
Tama. Thank you po. I think from the industry, I think there will be other questions, but since we move 90% of the cargo, if we can make it less expensive to move, then that will really go back and benefit the majority of our countrymen. Thank you very much. Attorney Pete, if there are any other questions, thank you.
Attorney Pete, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Before proceeding, let me just acknowledge the presence of the very able General Guillermo Iliasan. He's on the screen now. So welcome, General Iliasan. Okay. Anyway, Senator Lacson, Senator Soto, apart from the general advocacy work on PISA, PISA also collaborate with other stakeholders in the maritime industry. In one of the very articulate members of the industry is the head of the Women in Maritime Philippines, Miss Merly Pedro. If Merly has some questions, the floor is yours, Merly.
Miss Merly San Pedro?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah,
What's
good
your
morning,
question?
everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry for my my connectivity might have a problem because I'm in the Legazpi right now in one of our beautiful provinces. Good morning, Senator Ping and Senator Soto. As a maritime and archipelagic country, we are very happy that we have now this forum with you, and all of us stakeholders are actually united with that sense of sense of commitment to make sure that our executive officials, our those in the Senate, would really support us with a very strong national maritime agenda. In 2016, we actually pushed for a national maritime agenda when Mayor Duterte then ran. It was actually open to all those who ran for the presidency. But in your case right now, we'd like to know that it's so pitiful that even as a maritime and archipelagic country, we feel that we are one of the industries being left behind. And I think you've heard from PISA many of the issues that they have. But with so much potentials in contributing economic growth, I come from education and training sector, as well as the women in maritime, which is actually also would need a lot of support from you. So I'd like to ask, you have a specific agenda for Filipino seafarers who are actually considered to be the most essential workers right now. And during the pandemic po, ay napakalaking problema pong kinaharap nila. And even up to now, there are still some seafarers who are stranded out there. This is actually from an agenda from making education and training really strongly supported in terms of governance, because as you heard earlier, our governance in education and training, even with the Republic Act 10635, has even become more challenged to us, from education, training, and even to their continued employment amidst the strong competition that we now have from our neighboring countries like Indonesia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Because before we used to be number one in providing Filipino seafarers in international shipping, but now we have actually been facing a lot of competition from our Asian neighboring countries. And if I may be allowed, Attorney Pitt, just to segue, because I come from the Women in Maritime Philippines, we would also like to know if you also have a specific program or plan to continue to empower Philippine women in maritime, because as we now know, we are only about 1% of those Filipino seafarers. And we know that there's a huge potential also for women seafarers. So this is actually being pushed by the IMO as well through the UN SDG 5, which is on the call for women empowerment of girls and gender equality. So, sir, we would be happy to hear anything that you have in store for our sector. Marami pong salamat.
Yes, maraming salamat. First, yung sa seafarers. I think it's ironic that we have more than 1 million. I read somewhere that we have more than 1 million seafarers, mostly sa technical, even managerial na positions. That would constitute, I think, 25% sa entire world. So, and it's ironic that yung ship naman natin dito are aging, compared to our ASEAN neighbors, nasa average na 8 years old yung kanilang vessels. Sa atin, nasa mga 25 yata yung ating mga vessels. So, yun, while we enjoy the headway in terms of seafaring, because we have more than enough supply of seafarers or seamen, pero yun namang ating facilities like yung ships natin, medyo may mga edad na. So I think we should work along the line of offering some financial package, or assistance to our shipping industry, yung financial support, yung especially yung ating deserving maritime students. There's a proposal na even magbigay ng 50% allowance, 50% of the minimum wage do sa ating mga cadets. But we have to compute ano yung maging impact sa ating national budget if we do that. In terms of women, sabi mo 1% of the 1 million. So that's a lot. And we have passed legislation not only for the sake of the shipping sector, shipping industry, but in terms of yung gender equality. So they should be given equal chance or be on equal footing with their male counterpart. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. May I support that? Indeed, we are working on a right sizing for government, no? And as Senator Lacson earlier mentioned, we're very careful in the proposals of creating Department of Water, Department of Culture, Department of kung ano-ano yung mga nakapropose. But pending in the Senate now is the Department of Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos. Sapul na sapul yung sinasabi ninyo. Very much the concerns that you have brought up are all addressed by that particular bill that is in the advanced stage in the Senate. As a matter of fact, we are already in the period of amendments. That is one department that is necessary. So yun, I'm sure it will be able to address the agenda for Filipino seafarers. Now, well, minus the issue of the pandemic, pagkat kaya nahihirapan yung ibang mga seafarers natin umalis because of the effect of the pandemic on their work, on them, on their families. Nevertheless, I think the Department of Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos will definitely be able to address that. Now, as far as the women in maritime is concerned, we have a new anti-discrimination bill. There are 4 filed. It does not have anything to do with SOGI. It is really particularly addressing the issue of discrimination of age, gender, and all that. So I think it will be also it'll be able to address the problem of or the issue of women in maritime. Thank you.
Attorney Pitt, may I just have a follow-up, just quick one?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Senator Ping and Senator Soto for that. Just on a final note, just to bring it in a bigger perspective, we actually also come from the movement from Maritime Philippines, and we have this tagline. It is actually, we are supporting very strongly that our vision that needs to be shared by everybody, including hopefully for those who will lead the country for the next few years, is actually our ships. Being a maritime and archipelagic country, our ships should be owned, managed, built, and manned by Filipinos. This is not, of course, just to go exclusive, but this is to be able to connect more efficiently, effectively, the different provinces in this maritime country, and also to be able to move people all around. And that is Actually, we give support, very strong support to the issues of the domestic shipping, because we all believe that if we can only do this, just like our neighboring countries, I think we can achieve more economic development. So sana po yung ating agenda po for maritime will be crafted in a more comprehensive way, not just sector by sector, but it's got to be a national maritime agenda. Maraming salamat po.
Okay. Thank you, Merly. Anyway, before going any further, I would like to recognize the presence of the other guests. Mr. Munsur del Rosario, who is the former councilor of Makati, Congressman of Makati City, First District. We also have Congressman Pantaleon Bebot Alvarez of the Partido Reforma President, First District Congressman of the Davao del Norte. We'll, if time allows, we will also have them say something. But in the meantime, considering the schedule of our two main guests, Senator Lacson and Senator Soto, we will concentrate on the questions at hand. I will first prioritize the one that was that is on the chat box. There's one question here addressed to the two principal guests. It reads, since you mentioned already West Philippine Sea, may we know what's your stand on this West Philippine Sea versus China issue, which is for me a potential maritime security threat. Go ahead, Senator Lacson.
Thank you, Attorney Pete. That should be the last question for Senators Lacson and Senator Soto.
Okay.
Thank you.
What I did was I prioritized yung nasa box. Anyway,
we have time for that last question. Thank you, Attorney Pete.
Okay. I would like to recognize the next person who would ask the question. She is a very well-known personality in the maritime industry. She used to be connected with the Maritime Industry Authority for so many years, and after her stint with Marinas, she was appointed by the IMO as the regional. I can't recall the exact position, but she represents the International Maritime Organization, and she's a very active advocate of the maritime industry. I'm referring to Attorney Brenda Pimentel. Brenda, if you're online now, you can you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Attorney Pitt, my good friend. Good morning, our distinguished resource persons now, Senator Lacson and Senator Soto, and all the others who are present in this discussion, in this kapihan. Well, I really would like to, it's a topic that was very close to me on the Public Service Act revision amendment. I fully agree with everything that the PISA chairperson, Ms. Doris Ho, said earlier. However, we need to make a distinction between domestic shipping and overseas shipping. In this age of globalization, this becomes very important to the Philippines. International shipping is practically dictated by cargo owners, and the Philippines is not a trading nation. Practically, we are known as the supplier of seafarers. Now, let us look at the other ship registries in the world. Panama, Liberia, even small island countries in the Pacific Islands like Cook Islands, Marshall Islands, Palau, they have very big fleets, merchant fleets. And they are hiring a lot of seafarers. They're generating millions of US dollars in terms of the ship registry fees. But where are we? We do not have big trades. They do not have big trades as well. The small island countries, Panama or even Liberia, they do not have big trade. They don't have seafarers. They rely mainly on Filipino seafarers. So,
thank you, Ms. Brenda.
No, wait. If we are able to attract if we are able to attract foreign ship owners to register under the Philippine flag, we will generate a lot of foreign exchange. We will board our Filipino seafarers on board Philippine ships, not export them to foreign flag ships. At this point in time, we are dependent on the foreign ship owners to hire our seafarers. But now, if we have this, even just half of the Panamanian fleet coming into the Philippines, we will have a lot of ships boarding deploying our Filipino seafarers, and we don't have problems with cadetship because we can now allow them or make them board these ships, these foreign flag ships registered in the Philippines, to be cadets. No, please. This is very important. I think they have to do this because.
I understand, ma'am, but Senators Lacson and Senator Soto, we will have to leave the room, the meeting at this point. You may continue as the senatorials are also here, and they can give us their insights on the concern, ma'am. At this point,
just 1 minute, please. Therefore, I request that the two good senators consider opening foreign investment in international shipping, not domestic shipping. So there should be a distinction when you do amend the Public Service Act. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda.
Well, just a quick response before we go. Yes, she is right because that's what's happening now. As far as domestic, di ba? Hindi pwede. International, yes. Meron naman talaga eh. Thank you.
Salamat. Maraming salamat, Senator Soto. So, it's okay if you have to leave because of your schedule. And anyway, andito naman po yung slate nyo for the senatoriables, and we can ask the questions to the senatoriables. Thank you so much. Chet, do you have any message to our main guests?
Thank you very much, Senator Lacson and Senator Soto. Do you mind to give just a short goodbye and last statement, sir? Maraming salamat po. Masahan yung tulong namin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having us this morning. We know that the shipping industry plays a crucial role in the Philippine economy, so you can rest assured that it will also be a priority as far as we're concerned. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is Senator Lacson still here?
Wala
Well, thank you so much for all your questions.
Let's continue. Yeah.
Let's continue. Thank you so much for all your questions and for the responses of our senators, Ping Lacson and Senator Tito Soto. Maraming salamat po. And we can continue. Continue.
Okay.
Our chairman and Attorney Pete.
Yes,
Tuloy-tuloy natin ang discussion natin.
Can I introduce our guests, our distinguished guests who are also present?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to welcome Police Major General Guillermo Elazar. I'd like to give a brief introduction. He was born on November 13, 1965. He's a retired chief of Philippine National Police, widely acknowledged as strict and disciplinarian when he relates to police work and ethics. He's also known for his prompt action on peace and order concern of the whole archipelago. General Elazar, or Gilor, as commonly called by his peers and fellow officers, was born in Tagkawayan, Quezon, to Victor Tatay Toti Elazar and Victoria Toyang Elazar. One of 9 siblings, he grew up in Tagkawayan and completed his elementary and high school there. General Elazar spent his early formative police career mostly in the Calabar Zone area, where he took on various positions that molded him into a complete police officer. More than half of 38 years of service he has spent in the region. I'd like to also welcome and acknowledge our idol, Monsieur De Losario, who served the city councilor from 1st District of Makati from 2010 to 2016, and later on as a congressman in the 17th Congress, representing the same district from 2016 to 2019. Monsieur De Losario was born in Manila and grew up in Bacolod, his family hometown. Mr. De Losario joined the Philippine National Taekwondo team in 1982, remained there in 1989, serving as team captain in his last 4 years as a team. From 1982 to 1989, he competed in several international competitions, including 1998 Seoul Olympics and Southeast Asian Games and ASEAN Games and World Championship. Good thing I did not spar with him when I was part of the UP team. Otherwise, binugbog siguro ako ni Congressman De Rosario. I'd like to welcome Dr. Mingita Padilla, has been a medical profession for more than 34 years. She is a renowned ophthalmologist and has been president of the Eye Bank Foundation of the Philippines for almost 26 years. Through her selfless devotion since Eye Bank Foundation in 1995, tens of thousands of lives have been transformed to the gift of sight restoration. Together with Eye Bank team, she has set the benchmark of international eye banking, making Eye Bank Foundation one of the leading bank facilities globally. Her policy thrust is to strengthen consented and voluntary donation through hospital retrieval programs. iBank's hospital retrieval program aims to establish relations with different government institutions, companies and corporations and non-government organizations, and the hope of increasing awareness and yield in cornea and eye donation. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow stakeholders, good afternoon. Let us all welcome our distinguished guests and support the Senator Monsieur De Rosario, Senator Guillermo Lesar, and Senator Mingania Padilla. Welcome.
All right, Chairman, let's continue our question and answer.
Yes, Mariel, the floor is now open, so to speak, to any questions from the participants.
Yeah. If you'd like to unmute, you can do so. Now is your chance. Maybe I can call Mr. Jerry Santos also here with me. Is he on the house?
Hello, yes.
Hello,
morning.
Mr. Santos. Good morning.
Yeah. I'd like to pose this question to any of the three regarding incentives that can be given to our shipbuilding and ship repair industry. Because right now, the big ships, it would be cheaper to bring them, say, to China for repairs than having them repaired in the Philippines. China is cheaper because of government, because of the incentives being provided by the Chinese government to this ship repair and ship building industry. Maybe if you could also follow that same kind of incentives our local industry in shipbuilding and ship repair, maybe we can be more competitive. Because right now, while it is cheaper to have our ships repaired or built outside, it is not allowed by law. So what we would like to ask the government is for us to have the kind of incentives to the industry so that they can charge less to building or repairing our ships. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry Santos. Before you answer the question, before anyone answers the question, I'd also like to request the three senatoriables to say a few words. You might want to begin, General Eleazar.
Yes, magandang umaga po good morning to everyone. Sa inyo po lahat na dyan ngayon. Well, actually, I spent the last 38 years of my life in the uniformed service and on several occasions had intense and informed discussions with my classmates who are in the Philippine Navy or Philippine Coast Guard and the PNP Maritime Group on issues affecting the shipping industry. So, narinig po natin itong mga kinakaharap ng ating industriya at talagang gusto nating pag-aralan din po. We are an archipelagic country, yet when we speak of mass transport, bihira nating naririnig yung usapan na mass transport of people using passenger ships and ferries. We talk of bullet trains and subways, pero bihira po nating marinig yung modernization on waterborne transport of people and goods na kagaya po ng tinatanungan natin kung paano mabigyan ng mga incentive itong mga ito. Ang punto po natin dito ay simple lang. Kung hindi tayo pinag-uusapan, siguradong wala sa plano at kapag wala sa plano, hindi tayo priority, which simply means walang pagbabago. Lahat ng improvement sa industriya, yung industriya mismo ang nagtutulak. That is despite the industry's huge contribution to the economy. Isipin na lang natin po na kung bubuhusan ng tulong ang shipping industry, mga incentives para dito, hindi malayong maging trading hub din tayo na alternative sa Hong Kong, China o Singapore kung sakali man. mas maraming investors, negosyo at trabaho, ito para sa atin. So kaugnay nito ang pagsaayos ng sistema sa industriya. Una po, yung ease of doing business with government agencies in charge of maritime industry. Dapat ang tingin ng gobyerno sa shipping sector ay partners ng development. Hindi mga subjects na gagalaw batay sa kapritsyo. Hindi gatasan ng mga korap. So we've heard a lot of stories about corruption and other forms of hardship you have to deal with, and I'm sure you have plenty to share during our discussions. Alam niyo naman kung gaano kagalit po yan si Senator Ping Lacson at Senator Soto at pati na rin po itong ating grupo pagdating sa korupsyon. And we have the solutions to it. Yung padrino systems, for example po, na matagal ng problema sa PNP, na-solve natin when we implemented the QR code for recruitment, for example, and we have shown the political will na hantingin ang mga abusado at ipursu ang tama para sa industriya. To be fair, may ginawa naman po ang mga nakaraang administrasyon at pati ito ngayon at to improve the situation. Pero the industry deserves more. The maritime sector deserves to be placed at the forefront of national development. Pag nakita ng global shipping industry na efficient tayo at wala ng korupsyon, mag-uunahan dito ang investors. And that means more jobs for our people. But sabi ko nga, isa sa magandang value na pwedeng natin contribute sa Senado ay yung, may capacity to listen. I'm always a believer of participatory planning and development approach. Kaya po, narito ako ngayon para makinig sa inyo because I know as you are the most affected, you know the best solutions. So malakas po ang loob ko na manindigan para sa inyo kapag napakinggan ko kayo. That is one thing that I can assure you na kung sakali pong papalarin, paglalaban po natin itong industry na ito dahil yan po ang kailangang ipaglaban natin lahat. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong ito.
Thank you, General Riazat. Mariel, can you call the other guest, Congressman Monsur del Rosario?
Yes, Congressman Monsur del Rosario. Any words po?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman. I'm kind of shocked because I'm not very familiar with the problems of the shipping industry, but listening to all of you today, I kind of realize that national government or government has neglected your industry a lot. Now, as far as incentives are concerned, I think, national government should allocate a big budget for people who can do shipbuilding, train them, maybe because shipbuilding needs real skills. TESDA can generate that, open job opportunities for Filipinos who need to earn a living. I agree with my senatorial aspirant, General Eliasar, with all his views. I agree with Senator Ping Lacson, our presidential aspirant, Vice President aspirant Tito Soto. I just didn't think that, I didn't realize how much you guys are so neglected. And whatever I can do, if ever, to help the industry, if ever I do make it in the, Magic 12, I would definitely do so. I have a good friend, a high school buddy of mine who's part of this discussion right now. I talk to him once in a while. His name is Joaquin Garcia, or I call him Waki. He a few times he's mentioned to me about the problems of the shipping industry, but I didn't realize it was this deep. So as far as I'm concerned, I will really look into this and make it worthwhile for the Filipinos to have a better industry in this country, because everybody's correct. We have a lot of islands. Domestic shipping is important. International shipping is important, but more so the domestic shipping. And I believe that just the same problem with nurses leaving the country and serving foreigners, we have our seafarers going around the world serving foreigners. Why can't we keep them here? If the shipping industry is much alive and well protected, these seafarers would remain here and take care of us. So in the same plight that you guys have, if whatever I can do to help, if ever I make it, and defend the causes of our national security, I would definitely take a stand on that. So thank you for listening and understanding my views.
Thank you, sir.
And,
Can we hear from Dr. Padilla? Is she with us, Attorney Pete?
I don't know. Dr. Padilla, are you still around?
I think she moved on to our next meeting because I know we have another meeting at 11 o'clock. That's why Senator Ping Lacson and Senate President Tito Soto left the discussion already as at the moment.
So both of you, sir, with General Eleazar, will have to join the senators also?
Yes,
Yes,
we're
yes.
we're being texted actually already to leave your meeting, but to join the other meeting. I'm sorry also, but I learned a lot from all of you today, and whatever General Eleazar and I can do, because we're in the same group and team, we would do everything we can with how to make it easier for other agencies to help out the shipping industry.
Okay.
Attorney P?
Chet,
Or we can proceed with the closing na lang so that we can allow our two distinguished guests to join and participate their next meeting. And then maybe what we can do is we can write the senators, including the Senate President and Senator Lacson, all the issues that we have raised here and forward it to them so that these matters can be addressed.
Thank you, Chairman. As you know, we have a poll before we end, no? But to formally close our proceedings, we are lucky to have with us Ms. Doris Magsaysay-Ho. We've seen her earlier, no? She's also chairman. She's president and CEO of Magsaysay Shipping and Logistics. She's also chairman emeritus of the Philippine Inter-island Shipping Association. Ma'am Doris, may we call you back? Are you with us, Ma'am Doris?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. And now at least I'm straight up. I understand I was sideways earlier. I'm sorry. Congressman, I'm going to catch you before and speak really fast. PISA is organizing these kapihans to really cast a spotlight on this industry for our future government elected officials. We are actually a very essential service, and throughout the pandemic, none of us stopped our service. Even in harm's way, our seafarers continue to serve, the port workers continue to serve, and food was delivered, medicine was delivered because of the commitment of our shipping industry to our country. We are, however, as you said, Congressman, an invisible service. And it is in a way our fault, because even you mentioned that you were surprised that to learn about what we do and what we are not supported with. And so thank you so much. We're so grateful to the senator, to Presidentiables, the presidential candidates, and also our senatorial candidates, for each of you for joining us today. Thank you so much. We actually have a very aggressive agenda in our mind. The Philippines has an amazing opportunity to be a maritime hub. Believe it or not, the great maritime hubs in Asia are Hong Kong and Singapore. And sir, you'd be shocked at how many Filipinos work there. We have all the seeds of a hub. We have our cluster has ship repair, shipbuilding, we have seafarers, we have maritime training institutions, we have domestic ship owners, we have maritime institutions, we have services, we do manning, we do ship management in our country, but there is no focus on it, not the way Singapore does. If you look online and see Maritime Singapore, it is totally a marketing document which attracts people to base their services in Singapore. And so we have an amazing vision, and we really hope that with your support, that we can put a strategy forward to see how we can become a great maritime nation. And that starts with two things: our domestic shipping and our seafarers, because those two are the seeds that create all the rest. To create services, you need people that know about ships, and the seafarers are the potential service management teams that can really serve global shipping all over the world. So we're really grateful that you have joined, and that we're able to have this kind of dialogue, and hopefully we can have more so that we can maybe explain and inspire all of you with excitement about the potential of this industry, which we believe in so much, and we are so committed to continue to serve our nation.
Thank you, Ms. Doris.
So on behalf of PISA, am I thanking everyone? I want to thank you all for joining. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman, Attorney Pete, your last words?
Yeah, thank you. To our guests, rest assured that we will be collaborating with you when you are, if you're elected. You have.
She's in New York, Attorney Pete. I
Hello?
understand she is in New York. Miss Doris is in New York.
Yes, she's in New York. But the role of PISA really is to collaborate with the policymakers on how to improve the industry. And this is a very important time for us to do so while the candidates are still formulating their platform of government. So thank you so much to our guests, Congressman De Rosario, General Elizar, and the two guests who have left earlier. Thank you, and thank you so much to all the members who participated. This is only the first of a series, so we'll be inviting the other candidates, the other presidentiables, so that we will know their platform of government in general, and their program for the maritime industry in particular. Thank you so much. Mariel,
Thank you, Attorney Pete. Chairman?
Maraming salamat po in behalf of our organization and all the members of the different stakeholders. Maraming salamat po sa ating distinguished guests. Ang kasabihan ng daigang maaga pang masipag. So kayo po ang una naming guest at una naming panauhin. So maasahan po ninyo na hindi lang po ito ang una, but marami pa hong pagkakataon that we'll be able to talk and collaborate with you further. And we will rest assured that your program of government will be heard, and we will support you in your endeavor. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat, at mabuhay po kayo, at sana po you stay safe and mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
In behalf of PISA and PortCalls, this is Mariel Cleasco saying, I'll see you next time in the next Kapihan. General Eleazar, did you want to say goodbye?
Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Mr. Monson De Rosario, maraming salamat. And Paul is up next.
Thank you very much, and stay safe, everyone. And rest assured, my good friend Joaquin Garcia, who's a friend since high school, I will definitely, ask him more questions about this and ask him what I can do to help the industry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.